First FanDuel read out of the way. Get ready to tackle all the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Jay, I want to set this up before I show you guys the trade. I think it is worth mentioning that last night on the group chat, someone had thrown out a fake trade proposal from The Athletic. And
did we determine that that was fake? Like, I didn't know. The reason I sent it to the chat and said Jason, ? I didn't understand the sourcing of it. It was attributed to The Athletic, but that was it.
I honestly, I didn't find it. I tried looking for it real quick on our site. I hadn't seen it until you sent it to me. We just have writers that just randomly come up with like trade proposals at the trade deadline.
It could have just been a tweet that someone put out.
Yeah, it could have been a tweet by an Athletic beat reporter.
Boy, that's dancing on a line.
I hate that stuff.
So that's why this makes this even better. So,
see how it gets sourced back to The Athletic, and it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. So do you want to finish what I said?
Yes. So Jason, who hates hypotheticals, he hates puppies, he hates fun, he hates smiles, he hates rainbows. He hates anything that brings joy to the people.
I hate dolphins.
You hate puppies.
I hate nuns.
All the above. So I
send
told
the
Jason,
email to him.
Hey, I don't want no part. Shout out to the yeoman's work
I'm
that you
kidding.
do.
Every fan of Call the Midwife is angry right now.
So I told Jason, I know you don't like hypothetical trades, so every time you're on the show, at least if I remember, we'll make a fake hypothetical trade.
That was my suggestion, Mike. You're taking credit for my suggestion.
Well, yeah, that's what you said, so we said we'll actually implement it. And I had one this morning, but then on Get Up this morning, after we already had a different hypothetical trade scenario for Jason, Mike Tannenbaum proposed a pretty wild Jets-Lions trade, and here were the details.
Browns-Lions trade.
Browns-Lions, excuse me. Of the Mike Tannenbaum get-up proposal this morning. Jason, you haven't seen this yet, but Mike Tannenbaum
You haven't seen this?
I did see it because Jay put it back on the chat.
I didn't know that it was ever off the chat.
Well, Tyvis sent it, then I told him to
Or
erase
on the
it.
chat.
Tyvis sent it. Mike told him to erase it, and then you put it back on, so I watched it.
Well, I don't check it very often, and when I checked it, I saw that wasn't on there, and I'm like, wow, I wonder that they might not have seen this today, so I put it on there.
As Jay said right before the show started, this is why Mike Tannenbaum is no longer a GM.
Well, yeah,
in the NFL.
that's why he's an ex-GM.
But Mike missed the best part. Was in the chat last night. I said, like, if it's a former GM putting it out, then it has a little bit more credibility.
Yeah, that has
and then he comes out with this.
This is the most insane. This is everybody here is like, I won't trade Myles Garrett. I won't trade Myles.
I would trade Myles Garrett for that.
This is the Deshaun Watson trade minus the Lions offering to give Myles Garrett a 5-year, fully guaranteed $230 million extension.
Real quick,
that's how absurd
for
the Watson trade
listeners,
was.
Let's just say the trade details in case someone's listening can't see it.
Okay,
the
good point.
proposed trade was Myles Garrett to Detroit for Jahmyr Gibbs,
who's a baller,
3 first-round draft picks, and a 2026 second-round draft.
That's actually more. Forget the money. That's actually more than the Browns, I would say, gave up for Deshaun Watson because Gibbs was a first-round pick last year.
Right.
And it's not like he's been a bust. He's been fantastic.
100%. Now, there was a 3rd and a 5th or something.
Yeah, but I'd rather have Jahmyr Gibbs than a 3rd and a 5th.
I would too, because he's much more valuable than a 3rd or a 5th.
So you know this better than anybody. How often do they just give these guys just nonsense and prop them up and make them say it?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, there was around the advent of the debate genre, there was an increasing push internally to say dumb shit.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can phrase it.
Yeah.
Now, they were never told, hey, come out and say really stupid stuff. There's someone who worked there who was probably one of my closest friends while he was there. We know him. I'm going to say it, Rob Parker. Very good friend to this day, a very close friend of mine. He was encouraged by a higher up who's no longer with the company through his own. He was promoted and then fired and then promoted and then fired again. This guy was widely considered internally to be the godfather of the debate genre. He wasn't. He didn't invent it. He fertilized it. Okay, and they were thinking about stretching cold pizza into a weekend edition, which was then First Take. It had already become First Take. But they were thinking the show was so popular, let's make it a weekend edition. And Rob was told by a higher up, look, I want you to be one of the Skip and Stephen A's on the weekend show. But I need you to, I just need a little more out of you. I need you to say things that make people say, what did Rob Parker just say?
Yeah.
And so, it was, and I don't think it still is. I think that ship has sailed, but it was encouraged for people to, like, out-stupid one another.
Yeah.
It may have been the very next day, but it was certainly within a week. I happened to be off, which still to this day makes me sick. I would have shut Rob down. I would have said, wait a minute, Rob, hold on. Mm-hmm. No one did. The person that was in for me that day let it fester. And he went, and he went, and he went. And that was the famous RG3 is a cornball brother. He's a Republican.
I remember that.
And he just kept going. And I wasn't watching live, but I quickly was sent the clips. And I even before he called me, I thought, uh-oh, he's a casualty now.
Yeah.
Now, I did not know he had had that conversation about the weekend position, and we need you to say more bombastic things. We need headlines from you. We need clickbait from you. This is clickbait. When we all saw this,
we all got worked up.
We all said the same thing. What? Now, Mike Tannenbaum might actually believe this. I highly doubt it.
I can't imagine.
What it forced smart guys to do is live on the fringes. Well, you know what? Let me go someplace that no one's willing to go.
But if he's doing that, he deserves to have his credibility ruined. I got no sympathy for him if he's just doing that.
Because he's a former GM.
Right, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he needs to push back and say, listen, guys, I can't do this. I can't.
Right.
And look, I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's felt any internal pressure to do this.
Yeah.
He's been there a long time. He's made a name for himself. I can't imagine that he did. But I will just tell you that while I was there in the last 5 years, there was a real temperature in the room to say stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But
I got to be honest, that's not far off of what it would take for me to trade Myles Garrett by Tuesday. It's not far off.
I'd trade him now.
I'm saying, it's going to take a lot.
But
take Jahmyr Gibbs out of it, and that's what I would need to trade him.
That's not
3 first-round picks.
I think
for
two,
right now.
I think two.
Okay, fine. Then I'm happy. Then I'm happy to get Myles. That's what I'm saying.
And that's your
you
selling
have
point.
to overpay for me to move him right now.
I told people, if I'm trading Myles Garrett and I want to do something like that, I'm going, well, what's the name? I go to the Dallas Cowboys. And if I'm the Cowboys, I say, look, I give you Myles Garrett. You already got Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Give me 3 first-round
Nobody's
picks.
getting.
But the difference is the Cowboys aren't one player away. I think the Lions
are one player away.
But hold on. If you got Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, the hell you aren't one player away.
You still have Dak Prescott throwing interceptions all over the place.
I mean, but he's the highest-paid quarterback. We act like Dak Prescott has not played good in his.
He has played great in his career, but he's not playing well this year.
He was an MVP type player last year. He's nowhere near that this year.
I mean, listen, it's 1 year. But if you tell me, you got the 2 best pass rushers in the game. Right now.
I hear you, and we all know how great Myles Garrett is. And if the Browns don't want to trade him for less, then that's fine. I understand that.
Sure.
No team's giving up 3 first-round picks.
I can't imagine that's going to happen.
Khalil Mack got 2.
And Myles Garrett's better than Khalil Mack.
He is now.
I get that, but it's not just
at the time.
threes, guys.
He's better than Khalil was at the time.
It's not just the 3 number ones.
Yeah.
It's a number 1 last year who, if you redraft right now.
Yeah, that's not realistic.
And you're throwing in other picks.
But
it's insane.
You're telling me if some team offered the Browns 2 number 1s and a 2, they wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't. Not right now. I wouldn't do it.
I think they would.
No.
Well, I would absolutely in a heartbeat do it because here's the question you have to ask.
They could get 2 number 1s.
It goes
for
back
Myles
to the
Garrett.
Rams, guys. I really think they're the ones that kind of set this new market. The Rams decided they were a quarterback away and they were going to franchise the farm to get it, mortgage the farm to get it. They got their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So if you go back and you poll Rams executives, to players, fans, was that trade worth it? Hell yeah, it was worth it in the moment. And by the way, because they've drafted smartly since, they haven't hit the bottom end of the talent cycle like most teams you would expect, like where the Browns are when they mortgage the farm. So I think ultimately you have to ask this question before you give away a haul like that. Is he definitively the difference maker? And I think from looking at what the Lions have done this year and where they are and where they finished last year, I thought with Hutchinson, they were a Super Bowl team. I really did. I don't know that they are now. And if you think internally that you are absolutely a Super Bowl team, remember, like the Browns, this is a team that's never been to the dance. So it's going to mean something to get there.
Right.
I'm not saying they would make that trade to get there.
Yeah.
But if you're asking yourself the Rams question, if we do this, do we win? We'll pay the piper down the road. But if we do this and we feel that it infinitesimally improves our chances to win, do it.
You're talking about picks that are going to be 29, 30, 28.
Right.
That's true.
So,
But it's still currency.
right.
And we miss on those picks regularly. All the time.
Of
We
course.
miss
But if
every
you just
week.
assume the Browns are going to miss on their picks, which is not necessarily unfair,
but
then what's the point of making any
I'm
trade
not
for any
assuming-
amount?
Well,
I'm
and
not-
here's the thing: it's the
Yeah.
It would be the Browns' second first-round pick.
Yeah.
So they would pick 11th,
Right.
7th, wherever they end
not,
up.
That's true.
I'm not assuming they're going to miss on the picks. I'm assuming they're going to be at the bottom of the first round, though.
Right.
So at
And that's
most,
fair.
maybe you need to bundle those two to go up and get the quarterback you want, whether it's this year or next year or whatever.
What did they give up for Khalil Mack? Do we remember
It
exactly?
was
Couple
two
of first
ones
rounds.
plus. It was 2 1s plus more.
It was 2 1s,
All right.
and we did this literally the other day. It
I
was
thought
2
they
1s, a
I thought they
second,
also
and a
got a
sixth.
2 with Khalil Mack.
Does this weigh into the equation? Miles was the defensive player of the year last year. I think we all agree he's not having anywhere near that kind of season.
And that's
right
why
now.
I think a team won't pay.
Yeah.
No,
It's
and that's
funny.
why if they would drop a first rounder from that, give us 2 first rounders, Gibbs, and the other picks, I would still do it.
There's no way the Lions are trading Jahmyr Gibbs.
What's funny-
I just don't see this. Any way
I don't think they would either. Why
Yeah.
would they? That would hurt their chances this
yeah.
year.
What's funny, obviously last night was trick or treat. One of my daughter's friends was over trick or treat in our neighborhood. I drove her home, dropped her off. Her dad is from Detroit, huge Lions fan, huge. And he came out to the car and I dropped her off, and he said, "Are we getting your guy?" And I said, "I don't think you trade him." And he goes, "I don't want him." He said, "For the what he would cost and the contract number, we've got enough guys to pay." He said, "I want Za'Darius, not Myles."
more
Oh,
sense.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very, and that I think
That
for
makes
both
more
sides.
sense for that.
It's
Yes.
more responsible,
Yeah.
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Will he get you the Super Bowl? I don't know. And then if you could go
But he
back
makes you
and
better.
But if you could go back and revisit the trade, I think down the road you just forget about what it's going to cost you. You have to make sure that you are going to be a solid Super Bowl contender with Myles Garrett. And by the way, has anybody seen a defensive drop off in the Lions since Hutchinson went down? I haven't.
I haven't
Their
been
pass
close
rush
enough
numbers
to-
have gone down. But
Okay,
they're
but
still-
I mean the results, the final scores,
no, they're
the
still
points
beating the crap
allowed.
out of
Ultimately, the Lions are going to win because their offense is great.
I agree with
and I'm not. If I'm the Lions, I'm not messing with Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, he's too important to what they do. That combination of him and Montgomery.
What if you did this? What if you said, well, we would need a running back in return, and we'll take Nick Chubb off your hands?
What do you mean? As
Chubb
part of
and
the trade.
Myles.
Yeah. So that trade, but
Yeah.
you're also.
Oh,
you're-
hell no.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine?
Hey, turn the page, bro.
You
I'm
would
not
literally
talking about
have
this. Y'all
on your
killing me.
on
Y'all
your
done lost-
on
y'all
your
done lost
football
us.
obituary,
Yeah.
the guy that traded Myles Garrett and Nick
thanks.
Chubb on the same day.
I refuse to even entertain that idea, so we're going to move on to some more.
Wait a minute,
interesting
before you
topics.
do.
I have the Mac-
Nick Chubb is
Yes.
not under contract for next year.
No, I know he's not. But what I'm saying is the Lions would, if you lose Gibbs, who gets those carries?
Right, I hear what you're saying.
So from a Lions standpoint, I might look at that and say, well, give me
G
a
will
running
not
back.
entertain this conversation.
No.
I'm just saying he's not under contract
Yeah,
for next
but
year.
if I'm the
G
Lions,
would throw up Kool-Aid if that happened.
if I'm the Lions, I'm
couldn't
not
do
trading Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't
Hey,
care.
listen,
I'm not either.
I like Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's not make him Barry Sanders, man. Like this fantasy talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. I like him. You don't even start. Do we start?
He
They're
splits carries.
co-starters.
Listen. You're not gonna
Would
tell
you
me,
trade Jahmyr Gibbs if you were the Lions? Forget the Browns being involved.
bro. If I'm getting Myles Garrett, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Montgomery can go. What are you talking about? Myles Garrett is a top 5 player in this league.
It don't matter though. You can't.
Y'all told
One
me
defensive-
bull. Y'all told me for years
Yeah.
it's just a running back. A running back, you can get him anywhere. Y'all tell me that every
I've
week.
never said that about Nick Chubb once.
I'm talking about Jahmyr Gibbs.
No, but you know what's
But I
funny?
think Jahmyr Gibbs is a special player
So
too.
he's special.
I think he is.
He looks it so far.
Yeah,
G.
he's been fantastic.
He looks it so far. And you know what? Last night on Monday
you gotta
night,
put it together. I need to see some all pros, man.
If you're, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. It's the Lions. We don't care. If I'm the Lions, I'm not trading from the strength of my offense when I could trade draft picks to get a defensive lineman.
right? I agree with that. Last night on Thursday Night Football, they made a point about how some of the last couple of backs that have been traded have worked out great. And they were talking about Joe Mixon, who, by the way, and
had a
Herbstreit
great
said
season
this.
for Houston.
Herbstreit looks like Sir Herbstreit said it looks like he's a rookie again with his energy and the way he's running aggressively and hitting holes. And they were talking about Mixon, but they brought up a couple of other running backs that have been
McCaffrey.
traded. No, I mean running backs that have been traded. And they said,
Yeah, McCaffrey was traded.
oh, okay, yeah. You're right. Yeah, I don't look at that
Maybe
trade
he
so
wasn't
much.
looking that far back.
I don't look at that trade so much as we're giving up on him. They were saying we're going to use him to get a lot of assets.
Oh, I see what you said. Yeah.
So these last couple of trades that have been made by teams that have pretty much decided we got our 5 years out of this running
Yeah,
back,
we're
let's
gonna
move
move
on. They haven't worked out so well for like the Bengals let Mixon move on.
Yeah.
And these guys have found and Nick Chubb could be the next one in that
I
roster.
wouldn't trade Nick Chubb if I were the Browns.
Well,
Can't trade Nick
even
Chubb.
if he ends up on a different team next year.
I
it
know
would
Jason. Listen,
No, I would not
you know,
trade him for a 5. Like, you know what I mean?
You know, G made
God,
a good
no.
point yesterday when it comes to Jameis Winston. Because my first reaction, because I look at a lot of things analytically and I keep emotion out of it, and I think teams do that too. But G made a point yesterday, like about when it comes to trading Jameis Winston. And I don't know how well Jameis Winston is going to play the rest of the year, but like the Browns have done too much tanking.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing that.
No.
And you know what? If you have the right GM, and we've seen this with the good teams, with the Steelers, with the Ravens, like it doesn't matter if they're drafting 10th or 20th. They're going to find good players.
They make it work.
So the Browns need to have a GM. I don't know if they do or not, but if they and so they can't tank to get the third pick instead of fighting for trying to get into the playoffs just to get a 4th round pick for Jameis Winston.
I don't look at trading Jameis as tanking. I look at it as getting value for an asset that's not going to be here next year.
No, but you could also say that he gives them the best chance to win right now.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
so if you take him out of the equation, there are some that would look at that and say, "Oh, you're tanking. You're not doing the best thing to win the game on Sunday.
Right.
You're doing what's the best.
I mean, I thought they
franchise.
should have played Jameis a month ago.
I know we got to move on. I want to ask Jason one quick question to sort of put a bow on this before we do. If they lose Sunday and fall to 2-7,
Yeah.
you know, all hope at that point has jumped on the ship and it's set sail.
Yeah, that's a different story. Yeah.
So if they are sitting at 2-7 when they wake up next Monday,
Yeah.
what are the chances that Myles is gone, that Chubb is gone? Are they going to blow this thing up if they lose?
I don't believe Myles gets traded before.
For nothing.
I don't think that's an in-season move that you
Okay.
make.
Especially 'cause
I don't think.
he's hurt.
Right.
He's not playing
Right.
great.
I don't think you trade Nick because I'm just pointing out he's not under contract for next
Right,
year.
no, yeah.
And there's no guarantee he's back next year. So
Exactly.
again, you're trying to obtain value for an asset.
And you'd get very little for him.
And to me, that's why I don't move Nick Chubb,
Yeah.
because he means more to this organization. It's insulting to him. It's insulting to everyone to trade him for like a 5th-round pick.
Yeah,
Like, what are you going to do with that? I would rather keep him, try and work something out in the offseason, see if you can bring him back. Everyone else is on the table as far as I'm concerned. Zadarius, Greg Newsome, Dalvin Tomlinson,
Wyatt Teller?
Jameis. Sure.
Do you think we'll see that? Will we see like a wholesale?
Yes. I think
Okay.
if they lose, I think even if they win, I think Zadarius very likely is gone. I think Dalvin very likely is gone. Greg Newsome could be gone.
It's interesting though.
I
Watching
wouldn't
the
trade
Jets,
anybody if I won. I'd want to fight.
We
for
could have
the
that
playoffs.
conversation
Wha-
Monday when we know
right?
if
It
they've won or
make more
lost.
sense then. But watching the Jets last night was fascinating to me because Herbie said at the open, "Boy, life has changed for this team since we last walked out of this building. We left; they were 2-1. Then they'd lost 5 in a row.
Yeah.
2-6. The buzzword during the broadcast was, "It's a dark space. They're in a dark
Right.
space." And they won, and it's fascinating to me because that's exactly where we could be on Sunday. And they won, and all of a sudden, at 3-6, there's a lot of the fan base and the broadcasters saying, maybe there's a chance. And
Well,
that could be the Browns if they win Sunday.
Again, I just think you have to remove the emotion from winning 2 in a row and look at the reality of 3-6, what 3-6 means. Look at the schedule ahead of you and look at the odds.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the schedule. The Jets have one winning team on their schedule remaining.
Yeah.
That's the Bills.
Yeah.
For the Browns, it's a gauntlet
Yeah.
of winning teams. So it's
But
gonna
hey,
be tough.
congratulations to ESPN because we spent 15 minutes
That's
talking
true.
about your stupidity.
We
So
did.
you win.
They did.
Let's get into some more specifics of